We knew this team had it all, was no doubt in us. Instead we got robbed, the scene of champagne pop. The stream is dropping, the whole town come to a stop. Maybe they'd have been around a few more years, and maybe we'd have all shed a few less tears. We could have had it all, we could have seen October ball. We could have hung a banner on the right field wall. Maybe we'd have seen those more stand tall. If 94 summer turned to fall, we could have had it all. We could have seen
a little bit of 94 Fall by Anakin Slade. Boy, if you want to reminisce about the summer of 1994, go check out that video on YouTube, as it just paints a beautiful, beautiful story of that 1994 team. But I did mention a few moments ago on how it's Gut Punch Day on the Elias Mackos Show, because thinking about what happened 30 years ago today, when the players' strike began, that led to the cancellation of the 1994 Major League Baseball season as the Expos were on top, it certainly is a gut punch to me, because I was a little kid and boy, I loved my Montreal Expos. It's a real great pleasure to welcome Jeff Fassero onto the program. Pitched on that 1994 team, pitched for the Expos for 6 seasons. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So listen, gut punch for me as a little kid, right? How about for you and the rest of your teammates? How do you think back to 94 and what happened?
For us, it's a major gut punch. I mean, everything we heard about what was going to happen in the strike, none of it came to fruition. You know, they said we'd go out and should be back within 10 days and complete the season. Well, the owners had a different plan on that part of it. They wanted to get more control, and it ended up killing us.
When you played in Major League Baseball, 16 seasons in the major leagues. When you look back at your career and that 94 team, where does it rank? What do you think about when you think about the 94 Expos?
That team probably ranks number one of all the teams that I played for, that had best opportunity, best chance to win the division and the World Series.
What made it so special? Why did everything work for the 94 Expos?
As we had so much talent on that field and so young. I was the oldest guy on the team. I think I was 31 in 94.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, so you look at it and you look at all the talent. I mean, you look at all the guys that were there that ended up leaving and going to other teams and having great careers there. I mean, we had 2 Hall of Famers come off that team with Pedro and Larry.
Yeah.
I think that's it, just those 2.
Well, it's just so much in life, Jeff, is about confidence. So when you were on the mound and you had that squad behind you and in front of you as well, tell me about that. How did that feel to be pitching with that lineup behind you?
Well, it made it easy because once we kind of got off to a slow start, but once we started winning, we went to the ballpark every day knowing that we were going to win that night. Even if we didn't, we knew we were going to. It didn't matter. If we lost a game, we came back the next day knowing we were going to bounce back and win. I mean, the confidence in the clubhouse was unbelievable. I mean, everybody got along. It was the most cohesive team I was on. I mean, so I don't know if it's because, nobody's from Montreal per se. I mean, you had Larry from Canada, but we all just got together because we were it for us. But I mean, going to the stadium and having the fans treat us the way they did that year was outstanding also.
And you rightfully mentioned, it wasn't like the season started, it was hot out of the gate. It took some time. Do you reflect on a moment or a week or a game where the team realized, oh my God, we are as good as we think we are, where just everything started to click?
I don't know if it was a moment or, how you say there's sometimes you don't want to talk about your competitors and where you stand.
Yeah.
I can recall, I think it was right around May 4th or 5th, where we were about 6 games behind Atlanta. And there was an interview with John Smoltz, and, he came out and said that this is going to just be another one in a row for us, whatever number they were on, 5, 6 in a row, division championships. And I think it rubbed a lot of us wrong because we hadn't played. I don't think we'd played them yet that year. And, we were in the spring training together with them all the time. So there was, no intimidation factor for them. And I just think, for us, it was just there was expectations, and we all knew we weren't playing up to standards. And all of a sudden, somewhere around that time, the 7th, 8th of May, we just clicked and took off.
We're with Jeff Fassero, former pitcher for the Montreal Expos, talking about the 1994 edition of the Expos that Jeff was a part of that ended, the season ended 30 years ago today with the beginning of the strike, and the Expos had the best record in baseball. Jeff, let's talk a bit about Felipe Alou, the manager of the Expos, and his role. How was it? You mentioned you were the oldest guy on the team, so a young squad with Felipe at the helm. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Felipe had been around baseball his whole life, and he'd won. He might even won a World Series. I don't remember for sure, but he had won and stuff and knew how to do it. And I'm sure he learned from managers that he had. He just let us go out and play baseball. He'd write up the lineup. He made the moves that were necessary when we needed them, but he let us have our clubhouse to ourselves for the most part. There was never any big sit-down talks, chats, or anything like that. He just let us go out and play baseball, and that was the best thing about it. I had one other manager that was really like that too, and that was Lou Piniella.
Ah.
He let the players run the clubhouse, and if there needed to be something said, they would come out and say it. But for the most part, it was you guys are in charge of being on the field, so I'll make the moves I need to make during a game, and they did that, and that's what made Felipe such a good manager at the time, especially with a young team. He could have overmanaged a young team and did it, but he didn't. He just let us play baseball.
Jeff, you mentioned the fans in one of your answers about the fans coming to Olympic Stadium in that 1994 year. Of course, for those fans, they had the heartbreak of that season. 10 years later, they lose. We lose the team as the team moves to Washington. How does it feel for you? Because, other players that played, 16 years in the bigs and they had a season like you did in 94, they get to go back to that city every now and again and have an old-timers day at the ballpark and that kind of stuff. How does it feel for you that, there's no more team in Montreal and maybe you don't get those opportunities to reminisce that you would if that season happens and the team's still here?
No, you don't. If the team was still there, there'd probably be a lot. We'd be brought back a lot more than we have been. This year Perry, through his foundation, brought back. I think there was a total of 16 guys. Well, not counting Felipe and Kerrigan and stuff that came back from that '94 team, and it's great to see them because there's a lot of the guys I hadn't seen in a long time. And it was awesome to get a chance to see them and reconnect with some of these guys. And I wish, you did mention other teams get to go to their cities. Talking to a few guys here in town baseball players that just were at L.A. or back in Boston for one of their organizational type things. It is disappointing. The Nationals want no part of what happened, I'm assuming, with us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there would be no, we're going to bring back the Expo 94 team to Washington. Well,
do you hope a team comes back to Montreal one day to have those moments?
Yes, I wish I would get a team back. I don't understand. They moved that team out of Montreal because they were saying there's a lack of support and couldn't afford it and couldn't fund it. I look at the support in Tampa. They don't support that team. They get to keep them there. So I don't know. Either that, you move a team like that there, or if expansion, I think Montreal is a city that should have a baseball team.
Jeff,
I think they would have a natural right. If you move Tampa in my thoughts, if you move Tampa up to Montreal, they'd have a natural rival with Toronto now because they'd be in the same division.
Yeah, then that would be fun to have that Toronto-Montreal rivalry. Now, Jeff, listen, I got to let you go. We're out of time here, but I do want to ask you one thing. Yeah. Number 13. Baseball players are the most superstitious bunch out there. How'd you end up with number 13?
Well, left-handed, 13. I don't know. It started in high school. Usually, usually it was the easiest number to get. Anywhere you went was the easiest number to get. So,
it's true.
so it was easy to get it, and it didn't bother me to have it on my back.
Well, Jeff, for the people like me that were fans that year as kids, watching you guys just crush everyone, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show this morning. And we are thinking about that 94 edition. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Good
Jeff,
to talk to you.
Nice talking to you, Jeff. That's Jeff Fassero, former pitcher for the Montreal Expos.